Chapter 26. Greed comes at the moment of seeing things we eat. Due to the things we eat, sin enters. In Eden, by eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, from which God said not to eat, they disobeyed, and sin came inside. God said to Adam, "But you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die." They heard the sound of the serpent and ate. Genesis 3:5 says, "They heard the sound of the serpent and ate." Genesis 3:5 says, "For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened." They heard the sound of the serpent and ate. The serpent said in Genesis 3:5, "For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." Genesis 3:6 says, "The woman took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate it." The sin of disobedience from Eden flows inside us. In the meantime, we did not know that sin had come from eating. Now God of the era of love will dig open sin. Its root must be pulled out. Then perfect peace, which we enjoyed before committing the crime in Eden, rests inside us. What good is it if we proclaim love and peace only with our lips? They must be fulfilled from inside the Spirit. Rather than only saying things with words, God wants to see them fulfilled. Now, eating things of the flesh and spirit must only be eaten as saving life. But when God sees, there are many times when the human is greedy toward things that are nothing. That is why God scrapes out all things we had eaten as greed in the meantime. This is because greed, which came inside due to the things we eat, is sin that kills us. Greed comes at the moment of seeing things we eat. The flesh and spirit of all things are inside God. To raise up our spirits first, He makes us cease the things of the world. By the word, He interferes with all the daily lives of humans and continues to make our spirits stand correctly. He even uproots the disposition of the flesh. He blocks all the paths in which sin can enter and intervenes our thoughts. Greed comes out at the moment we see something to eat. The moment we see something to eat, there is a power that pulls us from inside. This thing that pulls us is greed given by Satan. In God's eyes, greed is sin. It is the foe of God. Greed is inside anyone and everyone. That is why even siblings fight because of the things we eat. When we see things to eat, before we even eat them, greed first enters. Rather than eating in thankfulness and joy, we eat in greed. Because of this, sin enters due to the things we eat. Greed enters through thought. Thought is the passageway in which sin enters. When we eat food, greedy and evil thoughts cause my blood to become thick. When we are not in a good mood, circulation does not work well, so the health of our flesh goes bad. Things of greed make my thoughts hazy. These are humanly attachments and avarice. If humanly attachments and greed enter thought, such thought goes to the heart. That is why sin enters the place of God through the flesh and goes into the center of the heart. James 1:15 says, "When desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, brings forth death." If a child had eaten with greed at the table every day, what would happen to this person when he or she grows up? If this is not fixed, this society becomes more critical as time goes by. Greed also enters when a person is by himself or herself at the table. Greed, which comes inside at the moment we see something to eat, must now be changed into thanks. I, who cannot self-moderate due to the things we eat, and I, who have no liberality, must change into the love of God.